have an exciting guest for us tonight. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Lucy Looker, the Foreave Stars international reporter. I report on all the international stars throughout the worldwide cooperative that we have. And tonight I'm going to interview a wonderful guest. She's from the US Bands Included Cooperative, and she's a TV producer. And yes, don't we need TV producers to be able to be entertained? Yes, we do. Well, without any further ado, I'm going to say hi to Gigi Amour. And I'm sure everybody knows Gigi Amour. She is on the Compassionate Connection show. She is the host and producer of that show for many years, well over 8. And as you know, Ravel and Dan Orr, as we are, goes on the Compassionate Connection show and plays and enjoys herself with Gigi. And as you know, I'm Lucy Looker. That's my persona tonight. And then I'm Ravel sometimes. And then I come back and be Lucy Looker or Tutu. But anyway, tonight I'm Lucy Looker, and I want to speak to Gigi because I'm very excited to hear all about your life. I know that you've had lots of dreams in your life, and we both knew the same person, Robert Baptista, who was the first producer of your show, and that's how we got to know each other. So Gigi, tell us all about yourself. How on earth did you decide to get into television, get into this world of producing and this wonderful world of entertainment? So tell me all about yourself and how you came to Santa Pop, just everything. So start from the beginning, Gigi.
Okay, a little personal information here. Thank you for asking, and what a joy to be here. I'd just like to say that it was a blessing knowing Robert Baptista, and I met him through doing some other business. He said, Gigi, is there something that you would really enjoy in your life, no matter what? What would you like to do as a service? And I said, you know, I would love to be, big name, like Oprah. And imagine that. And bring on people that have a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience and expertise in contributing to people's well-being. To me, that would be a joy. So, excuse me, a little something to refresh. Cheers. What a joy to be here. I'm so excited.
It's so lovely to have you, Gigi. I mean, you've been doing such a lot of work in helping people, I think, in our area, in Santa Barbara. But your show goes international. As you know, folks, if you did watch the Compassionate Connection show, you saw Tracy Tigger Savage from UK, and over in the UK they do this Compassionate Connection communication, Marshall Rosenberg's communication, and I really think that you've done so much for this town in that regard. I mean, you have a lot of followers, people that turn on that television on Tuesday nights to see your show. So I think it's something you ought to feel really proud of as well.
Thank you.
You know, and I'm just wondering how Robert was able to twist your arm.
There we go. The story. Back to the story. I got my voice. I'm so excited to share it because it was indeed absolutely a miracle to me. And my joy was that Robert said, I happen to be a producer over at the channels, Gigi, and I wonder what you could bring. What could you really inspire people with? And of course, I have such a passion for understanding the human mind, as you know, that I thought, well, other than psychology on any level, let's go into how we can connect at that heart level by the teachings of Marshall Rosenberg. And that's how I came up with, okay, let's get a panel of people in the beginning of the show, and let's all share the pieces of communication that isn't in good, bad, right, wrong judgments, but really focusing on what people need, what brings joy, what connects to life's energy, what can contribute and evolve us. And so, boy, that was quite an accomplishment to bring across a crew of people. My instructor that first taught me and introduced me, to nonviolent communication, the language of peace, by the way, and my passion is what got me through this. Just that sheer determination that the people need to hear that there is a better way to go around their lives and communicate with one another that would be inspirational. So it was just that love, just that concept that made me go forward without a lot of experience in the public, let's say, light, to just be able to come with an authentic heart and that joy of sharing. So that's how we got the wheels turning, and bless Robert's heart, because we all loved him. And in the language, as you know, of nonviolent communication, we use the giraffe as the big heart looking at the big picture, etc., and the jackal that's in the eagle, and it's just, it's your fault, you shouldn't have, this, that. And we loved our jackal producer, Robert.
He was a guy that taught a lot of people a lot of things, I think. Yeah, he was an interesting person. So when it came, so he had the show going, did he? And is that what happened? And you took over, or how did that happen?
Yeah, he went about saying, bring on a panel of people that are educated in this language. Let's try it out. I've got a director. What a blessing, Fred Winter. He's genius, as you know. And Tyler Geck.
They've all been with you for such a long time.
They've been with me for 8.5 years now, yes.
8.5 years.
And so
every Tuesday, 8.5 years.
Yes.
I got to say, I got to hand it to you. That, I mean, folks, it's no easy task producing a show. It just isn't. It's not easy, you know, to come up with everything that's necessary to pull off a show.
And as you mentioned that, what comes to mind is, regardless of whatever occurred behind the scenes and obstacles that did come up, it was spiritually driven. And that's how it really has survived.
Really?
Absolutely.
And how do you feel that, just from everybody that you met that ever comes on there is spiritually inclined?
Yes, that everybody is really on that level, that has the consciousness of wanting to contribute to life's energy force, that has some type of passion. I've had on lawyers, I've had on doctors, I've had on many people that are inspirational and teach, as you know, nonviolent communication throughout the world. And that has been so joyful because they all have such a loving heart. I've fallen in love with all of my guests because I know what is in their heart and what they have to offer up. So there you go.
So tell me, what about you? I mean, I know Robert asked you, okay, what is it that you would love to do if you had the opportunity? And it came. I mean, it sort of opened up. Obviously, it was something you always thought about, because I believe dreams and goals are the way that we need to be happy and live. And if we're not fulfilling ourselves with our dreams and our goals, we won't be happy. And so that came into your life, and like myself, really, my dream of having a television show was way back in 1978 when I first began Foreave Stars International. And myself, I started in Australia. Lucy Looker came out of the ABC in Australia in their Social Club magazine. I started to write as Lucy Looker. So the dreams unfold, and now from 1978, my dream of having a mini Woodstock festival where I can bring people on like yourself and people can enjoy your lives has happened. So it's like it took this time period for this dream that obviously had always been in your heart. How is it that you were in Santa Barbara? Tell us a little bit about Gigi Amour, the personal side of Gigi Amour. How many brothers? Do you have brothers? Do you have sisters? Do you have, I mean, I know you have a mother because you're such a good daughter. She's a wonderful daughter. She takes so much care of her mom, and I know that. Tell me about your family.
Yes, okay. Well, I was blessed being born here in Santa Barbara. I
You
have
were
an
born
older
here.
brother, fourth generation.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
And so, at any rate, I just was the middle child, a younger sister. I grew up just loving to surf. I would pray for good surf and sometimes skip out on school because, hey, when the surf's up, you know.
Yeah, I can
So I
imagine
grew
you a
up thinking
surfer.
I was Gidget. And to this day, my family scratches their head, weren't you Gidget? Well, you were Gidget. So it was an innocent time, and it was a loving time where neighbors got together and shared from the heart. It was just a beautiful time where you could be out and about. You could hitchhike.
That's a street.
Yes,
Santa
that's true.
Barbara. Not Alfred, but it's
I was
Hitchcock.
thinking of him too. Could go anyway. And be safe. It was a safe environment. It was a wonderful world, a wonderful time growing up for me.
It sounds like the
And
same as what was going on for me in Australia, because we're pretty close in age, I think.
Yes.
And in that 60s, right?
Yes.
And so I was in Australia, and that's where I met Chris Binning on the ship coming over, and she was a surfer, and she taught me how to surf. In fact, her sister, Tanya Binning, Midget Farrelly, you must know Midget Farrelly.
Yes.
You do. I know you do because you're a surfer. And Midget Farrelly was like the champion of the world in 1963, I think it was. I was in Manly. My family had emigrated to Australia, and the girl, Chris Binning, I met her on the ship, and her sister Tanya was engaged to Midget Farrelly, and I was at their house, because back then you didn't have internet. I was at her house when the phone call came through from Midget, who was in Hawaii, and he'd won the world championship in surfing.
Awesome.
Isn't that amazing? And I was with Tanya, like his fiance was Tanya Binning, and Tanya's sister Chris was my age, 14. And we
I
were
love
great
it.
buddies, and she taught me how to tandem on a surfboard, and fantastic. And I learned, this little English girl from London went to Australia and learned how to be a surfer.
Oh,
That's Janet, of course.
awesome.
That's
Yes.
Janet. And yeah, so here you are in Santa Barbara living the same dream, and I'm living that dream in Australia. Isn't that amazing?
Absolutely.
Surfing. So you had a blast. Did you know
yes.
anybody with a Woody? Those Woody cars?
Oh, yes. I did have a couple of boyfriends
Oh, I'm
throughout my
sure she
surfer years that the Woody was a popular thing.
Oh my
and
God, it was.
Yeah,
That was
that's true.
fun
That
days.
was classic. Fun days,
I
absolutely.
know, it was fun days. I mean, you could hitchhike. It was the
Yes.
same in Australia, even around Europe years later. And now, I don't know what's going on with the world. So tell me, so you've stayed basically a real Santa Barbarite. Santa
Absolutely.
Barbarite. I love making up new words.
Well, I have traveled, but I just know that Santa Barbara is the
It
place,
is.
of course. I mean, you
Of
know, you
course,
can
Santa
travel
Bar-
the world, but
but
hey,
Santa
Santa
Barbara.
Barbara, the beauty, so many things that we have going on
Yeah, we
here.
do.
It's a joy.
It's also very spiritual. You know, we're
Yes.
all people that want to. We're looking further afield all the time. We're like, okay, there has to be something else I need to learn, and always looking back on
Yes.
ourselves mostly.
Oh, yes. I always say I'm going to live a very long life. I have many lessons to learn, and there's no doubt about it. But the one thing that when you talk about the drive, it seems like I always attracted people that perhaps, let's say, had some little issues with communication or relationships. And so, like you, I just love to encourage and nourish people that perhaps have lost the knowledge, let's say, that they themselves are so valuable. Help to wake them up to remember who they really are, right? And so that's one thing that I know throughout my life, that's how I got to be so popular, because I loved all people.
Right.
And they would come to me and they could feel comfortable and not be judged and share what was troubling in their heart. And we would somehow transform that into a way where they would just feel more valued.
Right.
And more of a deeper understanding that they too were on a journey, and this was all a learning process of how we all evolve.
And you're a Gemini, right? That's probably
yeah.
why that you're so loving and you know out there for people. But I'm sure throughout your life it was difficult because a lot of people don't understand Geminis at all.
Oh, yes, we're
Because
the
there's
most complicated
yeah, you're very
sign, this
complicated. You have
Sylvie.
the two sides, and I always it's weird because I always seem to get on pretty well with Gemini's, except if they you know their other side comes out a bit, and then it's like nobody wants to be near them, and they don't want to be near anyone either. You know, they go off into their little world when they're the other side that doesn't want to be around people, and that's cool. But how did that work as far as I mean? I know you have children, so you had marriages. Or married? Did you
Yes.
marry? You married somebody
Yes.
and had children?
Yes, I did. I was blessed. I have two now grown daughters,
Wow.
Karen and Teresa.
Wow, two beautiful
And
Gigi's, I
yeah,
bet.
oh, they're awesome. They're just really awesome. I was fortunate. We're like sisters. We're like friends. And now I'm blessed with grandchildren.
Wow, isn't
So,
that
I mean,
awesome?
on it goes. And
How wonderful.
they're just a delight. Jake and Scarlett and Sophia and Gemma.
Wow, you have
And
four?
yeah, how about
Wow.
that?
That's amazing. How beautiful. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm really blessed with family and all that goes behind that. And I've just enjoyed all the moments that were so precious where you just want to just freeze that enjoyable, glorious moment in time, right? To be able to
Yeah,
reflect
well.
back on that happiness issue, that, you know, it's an inside job and you want to just know what your values are, what you appreciate, and how sacred it is. So
I
that's a
sometimes
little,
think that we're born into a situation because we asked to do this anyway. You know
that's
what I mean?
right.
And it's like, no matter how, you know, how you think about something, something's always going to come along and make you think even deeper into it anyway and go, okay, well, maybe I was thinking wrong in the first place. And
The
maybe there's a new way,
questionable.
there's another way of looking at it. Because a lot of times I've found in my life, in relationships especially, that it can be going along okay, but somebody wasn't that happy. Somebody wasn't that happy, and I've just been going along my merry way anyway. And then
Right.
all of a sudden you find out, well, shoot, you know, they weren't that happy.
Yeah.
And then it takes another journey and then another relationship.
Yeah,
And it just
that's
goes on.
true too.
I don't know if I'm getting to a point now, you know, especially when I think through Lucy, you know, when I think through Lucy Looker, I'm like, to heck with them all. I'll be who I want to be. That's Lucy,
Yeah,
you know. Lucy's
isn't
like,
it funny? In our lives,
it's
we
like,
start
what
out
you-
and we
I
think
think it's the
everybody's
age.
looking, and then we get to a point
Well,
where,
it's like,
you know, I am
I
going to
can't-
be my
There you
authentic
go.
self,
There you go.
regardless of your opinion.
Regardless.
And actually,
Sorry.
now I've gotten beyond that. I'm getting goosebumps because where I'm going with this is just the fact that now, personally, I really don't take
Give
it
a
to
damn, darling.
heart, so to speak, other than what God's opinion is of me.
Well, see, I go further because
Yeah.
I'm a Buddhist and
Yeah.
I chant Nam Myoho Geiko, and I believe that everything that I decide is what I decide, and the power out there is me. So I know
There
a
you
lot of
go.
people might not think that I should be thinking. That's the other thing. It's like, you know, the shooting business. I don't like all the shooting because I personally don't believe that there is a God or out there or a better father than my father was. I had to have my father, and my father, I tell you, I mean, my dad was, my mum would say he was a commoner, and my mum always thought she was royalty, and my dad was a commoner, and it's like, you know, we bring who we want to bring in our lives so that we can do what we need to do in this lifetime
Yes.
to be a better person, to be better
Yes.
ourselves.
Yes.
It's got nothing to do with anybody else. And that's why I can't look
Perfect.
out there and go, God. I did it for so many years when I was little. I kept looking for the God and the Jesus and everybody. And I'm not putting down anyone's philosophy or religion. What I'm saying is, for me personally, I have to take full responsibility, because if I don't, it's a real easy way of making excuses for bad behavior.
Perfectly put. I'm in alignment with that thinking, as you know. And I do chant because I know the value of it. I really do.
Well, I think people chant and also pray.
There
And
you
that's
go.
okay.
Perfect.
And I used to do that when I very first met chanting. I would I did the same thing. It's just when people do what they need to do when they need to do it. I just know that when I chant, it really and truly works, and I don't have time to sort of ask somebody else to do it for me. So I just chant and make the decisions for myself. And, life's too short anyway. I mean,
That's huge right there, yes. So we
it's
just...
like, how long do we really get to live? I mean, think about it. I don't know about you. I'm 64 in July, and it's like, gosh, 64 to 100 is 36, I think, if my maths is correct. And that's like, oh my God, that's not many years left.
Right.
And then that's to 100. That's if I make it.
Right, right.
So
yes.
I haven't got time to bargain with somebody that I don't even know if they exist. As far as what am I bargaining about? Okay, when I'm dead, would you give me a nice bed somewhere? It's like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know.
It's another issue when you talk about religion or politics,
Well,
what have you, but we're on the same wavelength.
We're all on the same
There's
wavelength,
no
and that
doubt
is
about
life
it.
and death. You are born,
Yes.
you live for as long as you live, and then you die. That's the only certainty I know of. And while you're here, you better have a darn good time. I'll drink to that.
Fun.
So tell
Do
everybody out
everything,
there what
yes.
you want. Anything else that we haven't,
Well,
spoken about.
I think
Tell 'em
one of the
something
big
special.
things that really, to me, is significant for people is we all have suffered. We have all had disappointments. And one of the things that's very helpful, like right now, being present in this exact moment. I just want to embrace the joy of that. So it takes like a slowing down, a conscientious awareness to be mindful of that wonderment, that excitement of life itself.
Right.
And how it does play out. So that's one thing I'd like to help people with, not to get too distracted with, let's say, stories that aren't serving life's energy.
Exactly.
Even if you need to recreate something, use your imagination, that happiness, that joyfulness, even doing dishes, if there's a playful, loving spirit behind it. That makes life rich. That matters. And then, of course, to be conscious of the words that we use in our communication. A lot of times we've all, I know, have said things, I myself, what was I thinking? Why did I say that? What was the purpose behind going there? Oh my goodness, that isn't what I even meant to say, because I was feeling perhaps a little agitated. So it was like, well, it's your fault, or if you would have. And then, of course, it goes into the attack, the back and forth, and what does that accomplish but more grief? So it's a matter of bringing ourselves to that inner peaceful place, being very aware of how we do communicate. And I think empathy is
Definitely empathy.
the key word
Empathy.
within me. Am I ready to move forward and be open? And I think what we all need the most is acceptance for our uniqueness.
Yes.
And love. I think that's so empowering.
I agree. I mean, that's intense. I was reading Marshall. I know here we are turning this into a compassionate connection show, but that's okay because that's what it is. It's it's Gigi's night. Gigi's our star tonight, and I was reading Marshall Rosenberg book, page 91. I tell you, 91 is a great page. On page 91, I'm really looking into that. It's all about empathy, and it's all about understanding that it's okay to accept, basically, and have empathy of other people's ideas or stories or anything they say, because why do you have to get judgmental about anybody's story anyway? But people
Yes.
do, I know that. People get ticked off. People
Yes.
get really ticked off about other people's, just giving. I was telling somebody a story about, I'm really psychic, as you know.
Yes.
And that's Janet that's psychic. All of us. All my characters are psychic. But this person that I was telling the psychic story about was like, oh no, they couldn't believe that it happened. And I said, it doesn't matter whether you disbelieve or not. I know what I know. And that's all that matters.
There you go.
And that
Yes.
is all that matters.
Absolutely.
The only thing that matters is what you know.
And if it's your truth, I can accept that is your truth, that's your reality, and I'm good with that. And I appreciate people when they are voicing and they're nakedly honest.
Right.
I don't have time for the nonsense of the bullshit.
That's true. That's true. Well, you guys, it's been a wonderful time with Gigi, and I want to thank you, honey. Give me a hug.
Oh, bless your heart.
If we
Thank
can
you,
reach,
Lucy.
she's got us so
Thank
far
you.
apart
I love
here.
Lucy.
I love Lucy. I love Lucy. Anyway, I tell you, it's been a wonderful interview with Gigi.